All right, everyone. Bronies UK live here for the first time. At the moment, all you can see is my head. Let's just try and edit this. Hang on. Chair. Oh, we go. There we go. That's better. That's not as very good, is it? Not going to live stream, and you can still see my head. But anyway, should anybody decide to drop into this live stream, I just really want to just do a bit of G5 discussion. To talk about information that we have, information that's been released, and also just to really talk about fan theories and, you know, what I think G5 will perhaps mean for the fan base and for the future of the franchise in general. So, as people are no doubt aware, we've finally had a lot of official information for Gen 5. Specifically, we have at least 3 of the characters that have been named. We have a brief idea on the plot. We also know that the Gen 5 film, which is obviously starting everything off, will be on Netflix this September. I believe it's September 25th, I think, or September 29th, sometime around about then. So that is going to be on Netflix for everybody to watch and enjoy. And then, as we also know, the Gen 5 series will also be on Netflix, and I believe is sometime next year. And obviously will continue on after the events of the G5 film. So the one thing I wanted to talk about specifically is the G5 characters. Now, obviously, as we know, we've got Sunny, Star Scout, Izzy, who's the unicorn, and we've got Hitch, Trailblazer, who is essentially the first male main character to appear in Gen 5, at least be a primary character. Obviously, there are male characters in G4, but they're not primary male ponies, with the exception of Spike, of course, but he's a dragon. So what I wanted to largely talk about was the animations that were leaked about 3 or 4 years ago for what was believed to be Gen 5 designs. Specifically, we had the designs of the main 6, but they were altered in drastic ways. Now, interestingly, the designs for them, although they weren't specifically correct, there was at least a grain of truth in those designs. Now, as we all know, one of the big things about the apparent leaks that was originally going to be supposedly meant to be the G5 main 6 was, for example, Twilight was an Earth pony. And as we all know, the main character, aka Sunny, is an Earth pony. So we know that at least we do have an Earth pony who is going to be the main character in G5. Now, the next thing to talk about in regards to this, what was apparently the leaked design for the main 6 for G5, stated that aside from Twilight supposedly being an Earth pony, you then had Fluttershy, who was going to be a Pegasi. Now, when it sort of falls to the apparent leaked G5 design for the main 6, it was heavily based off a combination of early G4 concept art, early concept art for the 2017 film, and also based off some drop designs that were supposed to be in the film or the series that they just never bothered with. So the big thing to talk about with the G5 design for Pinkie Pie, which obviously we know the G5 designs of the main 6 are inaccurate now. They are not going to return in the film, this film, at least physically. We know we've got these kind of models and posters, so potentially we are looking at the G6 from G4 existing in the G5 universe in some way. But what I want to sort of talk about specifically is the original design for G5, or at least what was leaked to be the G5 design. Let me just try something here. I have no idea if this will work. Hang on. No, that won't work. Well, I want to see that. Never mind. Shame I can't actually get it to work that way. But so as I mentioned, we know that the leaked designs for the G5 main 6, which sort of happened 3 or 4 years ago now, showed an Earth pony Twilight. Interestingly, that the main character Sunny of G5 is indeed an Earth pony, so it's quite possible that the leak was sort of containing a small grain of truth. With Pinkie Pie's design of being a Pegasi, which again was another G5 release, G5 leak, should I say? That G5 leak was actually based off the original design for Pinkie Pie, who was originally going to be called Surprise and was going to be a Pegasus. Now, with the G5, again, these leaks have obviously all been discontinued and confirmed to not be true. And the only reason I'm talking about them is because it's just a G5 topic in its own way. So with the Rainbow Dash G5 leak, it showed a Rainbow Dash with much bigger wings, multicolored wings. Her mane and tail were redesigned and a lot more vibrant. Interestingly, that design for Rainbow Dash was actually going to be her look for the 2017 film. And then if we move on to Fluttershy being a unicorn for the G5 design, I can't help but wonder if this is potentially meant to be linking to Izzy's design to a certain extent. Because if you look at Fluttershy's design and compare it to Izzy's design, there are some similarities. So again, I think this sort of leak of what was supposedly the main 6 in G5 might well have been containing a bit of truth. Then the last two to briefly touch upon is the design for Applejack and the design for Rarity. That were, again, supposedly leaked G5 designs. Now, the design for Rarity, to be honest, I'm fairly certain is a fake because it's clearly Princess Platinum. I don't know a lot about that character other than that she's mentioned a lot in the comics, I believe. So it's basically a design for a pony who was not going to be in the series. And then with Applejack, I think the Applejack design was potentially an early design for Applejack for G4. Again, I'm sort of guessing that. But anyway, in regards to G5 and just what it potentially means for the fan base, well, it's a breath of fresh air for the fan base. It really is. Just within the last week, the amount of fan art that has exploded across the MLP boards, DeviantArt, Equestria Daily, it's huge. There's really been a lot of fan art, and you can really tell how people are looking forward to the upcoming G5 film. I especially am. I'm very looking forward to it, largely because it's finally we've got the new pony series coming into existence. We're going to be able to see what Hasbro has planned, and I think potentially I think we're going to have a really interesting story to tell. One of the big things that I feel like I really do need to talk about is this. I don't know why I tell you. If you've watched a video that I posted up about a week ago now, talking about the official image that showed Sunny in the bedroom, and obviously you have all of that G6 memorabilia, G4 memorabilia. That's the interesting part for me. Now, there's two ways I find I can look at the G4 memorabilia in Sunny's bedroom. Either one, it's linking G5 to G4. So perhaps potentially the G4 ponies are no longer around, and instead they're maybe treated like celebrities and idols, and people, or ponies should I say, idolize them, and they're collectibles now, and maybe different ponies talk about them in 6 and their adventures and all the things that they did. So potentially we're looking at Sunny being a character who is heavily influenced by the adventures and the stories of the main six, which would explain why she's sort of going out in the wild to try and unite the pony tribes. The other potential sort of, I suppose we could say, explanation for the main six memorabilia, and this is an interesting fan theory that's been sort of dogging around the internet now, and I feel it quite interesting. There's a theory that the main six in G5 are from a TV show. So there's an actual theory that the main six memorabilia that you see in Sunny's room is a result of an actual TV or radio show that features the main six. Now, that would be very mind-bending. That would be very fourth wall breaking if the main six happen to somehow exist in some, fictional content within a Equestria that is not related to the G4 Equestria. It would be interesting to see, but I don't think that would work particularly well, because you would basically be saying that the G4 main six are fictional characters, and it would be rather, to an extent, it would be a little bit weird to have the G5 universe watching the G4 universe as a TV show. As a radio show or fictional books, it would probably work, but I really feel like it's potentially on the side of being, historical figures. So I think we might well be looking at Sunny idolizing the main six. Now, from what I know about the main six, they're not going to physically show up, at least in person, in the G5 film, or at least that's what's being said. That could change. For all we know, they could show up in some form, whether that be, maybe, I don't know, maybe the statues in Canterlot. Maybe Canterlot have like statues to them and books dedicated to them, or maybe, because see, here's the thing. Here's something that's worth mentioning. So, if we are indeed set in the same Equestria from G4, but I don't know, say 100 years later, technically, Twilight would still be around because she's an alicorn. As far as we're aware, alicorns are either immortal or live for a long time, because you know that Celestia and Luna are at least 2,000 years old. So, potentially, Twilight could still be around in some form. Now, maybe she isn't the de facto leader of Equestria anymore. Maybe she's going to exile. Maybe she's just disappeared. Well, maybe she's locked herself up in Canterlot Castle and hasn't come out in 20 years. Who knows? But if it is the same Equestria that was in G4, but now you've got Pegasi, ponies, and unicorns all living separately, could that mean if we end up going to Canterlot in this film, will Canterlot be different? Will there be memorabilia to the main six there? Or will it just be completely different because the main six are just fictional characters in the G5 universe? It's got a lot of potential. The potential is there. I just think that we need more information, because at the moment we can only speculate. Now, the problem is, I wish I could sort of bring up most of this stuff and talk about it on screen, but as of yet, we don't have the software set up for us to do that, so I can't show it. But we do have at least some information on the toy line, and obviously we know what the animation style is going to look like. Now, at the moment, the merchandise that's been officially shown off is quite basic. It's just your initial basic merchandise. So we know at least of what the initial first wave of the merchandise will be like. And obviously, it is obviously aiming at a target demographic of obviously young girls, because obviously young girls would be the main demographic of the show, you know, ages, say, 6 to 8 would be the main demographic. Now, I, however, do not think that Hasbro and E1 Entertainment are going to forget about the Brony fan base, because let's be honest, it's the Brony fan base that made G4. If the Brony fan base had never happened, G4 probably would have ended on season 3. So, if we look at the possibility of Hasbro and E1 taking into account the Brony fan base, we hopefully might get something, a couple of nods to that, to the fan base, to the previous series. That might well be why we've got Gen 4 memorabilia in Sonny's bedroom. But I'm kind of hoping that the whole idea of that is a lot more than just a bit of a nod to the previous series or placing them in a position where they are fictional characters. I really want to see them as more of like legends of Equestria. Characters whose deeds have been passed down from generation to generation, and now they're seen more as a legend. And another thing that I just thought of as well, people, another G5 thing that's worth talking about, Discord. Could Discord still be around? Theoretically, yes. Because, I mean, Discord's a god. He's a god of chaos. So realistically, he's eternal. He's omnipresent. He's everywhere. He's everything. He would never truly die. So potentially Discord could maybe be referenced in this film. It's a hard thing to really think about, isn't it? I didn't really do any prep for this. I'm just going to talk. You know, like I said, at the moment we've got one person watching. Hello to the one person. I don't know who it is, but we've got one person watching. But I think there obviously will be a Pegasi character in G5. I'm fairly certain of that, because at the moment we've got 2 Earth ponies and a unicorn, so we will have to have at least one Pegasi in there to sort of represent the 3 main pony races. And it's like the more I sort of look at the image of the 3 main characters that we know of, the more I do actually see little bits in them of the G4 characters. For example, with Sonny, I do see a bit of Apple Bloom in her and a little bit of Applejack as well, especially with the main style. Izzy definitely get Pinkie Pie vibes. There's Pinkie Pie in her. She's almost like the Pinkie Pie character. And with Hitch Trailblazer, Rainbow Dash. Yeah, I'd say he's the Rainbow Dash of the group. He's going to be a real cocky, you know, character. He's going to be really confident. He's going to be really sure of himself. Yeah, he's the Rainbow Dash of the group. Sonny, I would say, is Twilight, but probably mixed with a bit of Applejack. And then Izzy is definitely Pinkie Pie. 100% she's Pinkie Pie. So, you know, that sort of realises that we can look at the main characters from this show and how they represent G4. Let's see if I can just dig up anything else. I think one thing that's worth talking about on this as well is story. So we know that the story is along the route that, you know, there's no more magic within Equestria. Now, whether or not that implies that the unicorns no longer have magic, we don't know. We just know that the idea of friendship and harmony and everybody living together as one, all that stuff, that's gone. There's now there's no more sort of unity within the pony tribes. They're all separate. So I'm guessing that part of the storyline will maybe be looking into what caused the separation of the 3 tribes, why they're no longer unified. And if so, will there be any references to the main 6? For example, were the main 6 around? Were they around when this split, this divide happened? Or did this happen long after? Potentially it could be it could be basically at any point. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. Sorry, I'm not particularly great at live streaming. I'm not the most confident of people when it comes to expressing myself when I know there's people watching. But yeah, so if I know we've got another person on, I believe Nosy, fellow member of Bronies who came here, have joined us. So in regards to Gen 5 and the future of MLP, where will that lead us? Okay, here's how I think it's worth looking at. So we know that the main 6 from Generation 4, Friendship is Magic, we know that they exist in some form in Gen 5. Now, whether or not that is as some fictional characters from some sort of show or legendary historical figures, we don't know yet. But we do know that they definitely exist within Gen 5. So if they exist within Gen 5 in some form, we can probably look at the potential of events from Gen 4 either being discussed or showing some form of impact in Gen 5. Now, for example, will there be any mention of the Crystal Kingdom? Will that be mentioned? Will Cadence be mentioned? Shining Armor? Will the events involving Sombra be mentioned? There's so much potential, I think, for G5 and just how we could link it to G4. It just gives me so much to think about. It really does. Purely from a fan of MLP G4, I'm generally happy, as a lot of people are, that G5 has finally been revealed. Now, not only does it actually give us something to focus on, it also kind of gives us a bit of new, I suppose that's the word now, kind of give us a bit of a new goal. Yes. Interesting. Nosy just sent us a message there. Hang on. See if I can get Nosy to come onto the chat. That way we can at least bring in someone else and I can have someone on the chat and we can discuss things. So, the potential of linking G4 to G5, there are many ways that we could basically do this. There's many ways it can be done. Now, I think there's already a link there. There is definitely at least a link with the G4 characters being in Sonny's room. We've got the posters, we've got the figures, so we know they're there in some form. So that is connecting G4 to G5. Now, if we look at things from a geographic standpoint here, how will the world be broken up between unicorns, Pegasi, and earth ponies? Here's how I'm kind of thinking about it. So, Pegasi is not really difficult. I imagine the Pegasi will be living in Cloudsdale, or at least what perhaps was Cloudsdale and is now something else entirely. And as for unicorns, now this is the thing with unicorns. I think the unicorns will be living in effectively whatever was Cancelot, they'll be living there. So Cancelot will perhaps be some sort of unicorn utopia where there'll be a lot of history and a lot of perhaps references to the main 6, Gen 4. And then as for the Earth Ponies, I think the Earth Ponies will be living in an area connected to Ponyville. Because as we all know, Ponyville was founded by Earth Ponies, so it makes sense that Earth Ponies might well have migrated there, and then that's just extended and become something else. There's also something else, potentially something else. that might have caused the split and the divide? Discord. Think about it. Discord might have done something. You know, maybe Discord did something that caused the three races to split and go the separate ways. Or perhaps there was some sort of magical event that split the races. There's so many different ways. Nosy, what we got here? It will certainly be interesting with how things pan out for Gen 5. I'm very much interested in the story and setting for it, but also how they remember Gen 4. Yes, that is a good point. As I mentioned earlier, obviously Gen 4 is linked to Gen 5. We know this. So it's the history side I'm interested in a lot of ways. I really want to know, are the main six, do they have an historical importance in this new Gen 5 universe? Are they looked upon as historical figures, you know, historical heroes? I mean, Twilight having been an Alicorn at the end, obviously at the end of Gen 3 and then end of Gen 4. Let me rephrase that. Twilight becoming an Alicorn at the end of Season 3, and then at the end, at the finale of Gen 4, becoming basically the overall ruler of Equestria. Would that mean that Twilight has some sort of importance within this new world? She may not be in there, but perhaps we might get to see how her rule went, what she did when she was in charge. Because we know that it wasn't just her that was ruling. The remaining of the rest of the main six formed the Council of Friendship, and they were sort of ruling together. It was very much an Arthurian round table idea, which is an interesting thing to look at. Also, you know what? Let's just talk about something here. Still MLP related, but it's not Gen 5 related. I just had a random idea. So here's the interesting thing. So Celestia and Luna stepped down from being the de facto co-rulers of Equestria at the end of Season 9, right? Leaving Twilight as the sole ruler of Equestria, with the exception of Cadence, who was in charge of the Crystal Kingdom, which is almost like its own separate country. You know, it's not really part of Equestria in the sort of, you know, terms of dealing with it. What if, you know, just imagine it, because technically speaking, in all intents and purposes, Twilight Sparkle, when she became the de facto leader, in a lot of ways that left Equestria under the rule of a dictatorship, because Twilight was the sole leader. As far as we are aware, there's no government in Equestria. So if Twilight started out as the lone leader, that would almost make her a dictator. So what if she created the Council of Friendship with her friends to make sure she didn't have overall power? Because think about it, all that power would have been a lot. Nosy, what you got for us, mate? This is by rights, as there's definitely some kind of time jump. I agree. Twilight should be alive, considering Luna and Celestia were ancient. Yeah, I agree, Nosy, 100%. It's something worth thinking about, because as we know, Celestia and Luna are well over 1,000 years old. My theory is that Celestia and Luna are about 2,000 years old, or maybe even older. So if we are indeed looking at an Equestria where the main six did exist, then Twilight should still be around. However, as far as we are aware, none of the main six voice cast are returning for Gen 5. If that's the case, will we either have one or two things? Will we either have maybe some sort of explanation regarding Twilight and what she was doing before the events of G5, or maybe they're keeping things a bit tight-lipped? Maybe Twilight might show up in Gen 5 in some form, you know, maybe through some sort of spell thing. Maybe there's some sort of, I don't know, maybe they found a book in a library and it's got an enchantment on it that when they open the book, you know, a magical Twilight Sparkle comes out and starts talking to them and giving them information. You know, that'd be quite interesting. Here we go. So Tara Strong would not be coming back to voice Twilight. So is she back, or is Twilight getting recast? No idea, mate. That's a good question, John. No, this is a good question. No idea, because at the moment, I don't think they've released any information on the cast. Let's have a quick look here, see if there's any information. MLP G5 voice cast. Is there any? I don't know if there's any information, but let's have a look. No, there's no information about the voice cast for G5 at the moment. However, hang on, let's just have a look at this. I just found an article here. Let's just have a quick look. That was just a brief article, yeah. So that doesn't actually really tell us anything. Yeah, no voice cast. Yeah, no, I'd said a look, mate. There is absolutely no voice cast information. I'm going to make a guess that they will reveal a voice cast information at the same time that they give us some form of teaser for Gen 5. Here's how I'm looking at it. So the official announcement for the 3 main characters, so MLP Gen 5, was announced roughly a week ago. So it's basically like late February, basically. It's now March. So we're 6 months away from September, which is when this film is released on Netflix. I'm going to make a guess that we should see some form of teaser trailer possibly around about June, July time. And we'll finally probably get to know what the cast is and what we can expect from the overall feel of the film. Okay, so yeah, good point. The notice is, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a return of some of the voice actors from Gen 4. Considering a couple of them were Gen 3 and earlier MLP voice actors. Yeah, again, good point, Nosy. Indeed, we definitely have people who could potentially return to voice characters in the new series for Gen 5. I mean, it's potential possible maybe Tara Strong might return to voice Twilight in this film, but she's obviously, contract reasons, she can't say anything. Obviously, you do have voice actors and actors who we know, due to contracts, can't discuss future projects until after it's been publicly announced that they're in this project. So you never know. Maybe Tara Strong and some of the main 6 voice cast will be in this film. Again, potentially, the potential is almost endless. You know, we could talk about this all night. So, in regards to the main 6, Gen 5 and how it's going to impact the fan base. Now, this is something I'm generally really quite excited for many reasons. Firstly, artwork. There's tons of new artwork popping up every day for the new main characters. So, yeah, that's an obvious fact. But here's 2 things I'm really quite excited about. One is the potential for new MLP merchandise, specifically coming from the fans. There's a lot of Bronies out there that make really good merchandise. So I'm really hoping that we get to see some really, really, really good Gen 5 merchandise. I'll say it right now, probably sometime next year, I'm going to look at trying to get hold of a plushie of Sunny, because I really like Sunny. She's my favourite character of the Gen 5. I really like her look, so I definitely want to get a Sunny plush if I can. What we got, Nosy. Tabitha St. Germain played 3 characters in Gen 3. She played Minty, Scootaloo, and Wisteria. Am I pronouncing that right? That's, again, interesting bit of information from Nosy. So potentially we could be looking at some of the voice cast returning for Gen 5. We just don't know. There is not really that much more information to go off other than what we already know. But hopefully we'll know more. I'm guessing we'll know more by late May, early June. Late May, early June. We should hopefully be looking at a teaser trailer of some sort. And we'll possibly be able to know what to expect from the characters, the storyline, the voice cast, all that kind of stuff. By the way, if anyone's interested, this is hot chocolate. It's not tea. It's hot chocolate. Right, let's have a look here. Let's see what else I've got up here on Gen 5 related stuff. There is definitely one thing that's worth mentioning as well. So as we know, in Sunny's bedroom, there's just quite a lot of Main 6 related memorabilia. On her sort of saddlebag, there's 3 badges that show the 3 of the Main 6 cutie marks. If memory serves me right, I believe it's Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, and Twilight's cutie marks, respectively. So here's the thing. Are these badges collectible items, or are they badges that, like the type of things you would get if you were in the Scouts or the Cubs or the Beavers, or, you know, you're in some sort of group, you know, you wear badges? So if that's the case, if the Main 6 become sort of, you know, I've become sort of ponies that everybody looks up to and wants to aspire to. If that's the case, could certain ponies have a bigger influence on the races? For example, would Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy have a bigger impact on the Pegasi? You know, then obviously the unicorns, would it be Twilight and Rarity? For the ponies, for the Earth ponies, you've got Pinkie Pie and Applejack. So potentially the 3 pony tribes now going to look at these each individual members of the Main 6. Would they be part of it? You know, would they be part of it in the sense of the different tribes? Nosy states Kathy Weslock who played Spike, Rarity also played Spike, Rarity in Runaway Rainbow. Yeah, that was G3, wasn't it? How am I going live? I'm just doing it through YouTube, mate. It's just through YouTube. As I said, we're going to be able to sort something out to get the 2 of us onto a YouTube live stream at some point. But yeah, I'm just streaming straight through YouTube. We've got the Berry asks, "Yum hot chocolate." Yep, great stuff. Name makes it seem like the badges to earn. Yeah, but personality purpose make it seem like they're merch. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so if it is indeed merchandise, then potentially either the Main 6 are just fictional characters, or again, it's linking into the deeds that they did in Gen 4. So, as for passage of time, because I know, Nosy, you've mentioned quite a lot how much passage of time there's been. I'm going to say 100 years minimum, because it would take at least 100 years for a split to happen and for ponies to start adapting to their own. Nosy just pointed out, I'm enjoying hot chocolate, he's enjoying a few beers. Well, okay, I think I can beat Nosy on that. I do have alcohol here, just off topic here. I've got a nice bottle of Southern Comfort Black, so I do have alcohol. But yes, I do have alcohol, mate. But for the moment, we're just having hot chocolate. But you know what? Let's ask here, because we have got 3 people watching. I know we've got Nosy, we've got the Berry, and the third party who we don't know who it is. But I'm curious here. Nosy, obviously, I know why and how and all that, and you know why and how with me. But anybody else watching, I am curious. How did you all get into MLP? I mean, what was it that sort of caused you to latch onto the series? I mean, why did you become interested in it? Because me and Nosy have talked about it for quite a few times. But anybody watching, feel free to pop it in the comment box there. Let us know what made you become a fan of the franchise. What was it that appealed to you, made you like the franchise? So, yes, the G5 intro. I'm wondering what the G5 intro will be like. Because obviously the film will no doubt have an intro, but the series that comes a year in the next year, what will the intro for that be like? Because obviously the intro for My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, although it stayed the same for 9 seasons, but it changed in really subtle ways that you sort of had to sort of keep your eye out on to notice. What's Nosy saying? Yeah, it would make sense to be 100 years or more in the future, because for political unrest and for the races to be split, it would have to take a long time. Yeah, it would. I completely agree on that. It would indeed have to take a couple of decades or even a century or more for a split like that to happen. So, with the split, which results in Earth ponies, Pegasi, and unicorns now living separately, would that mean that each of the 3 races now has a de facto leader? Because as we know in the history of Equestria, in the episodes where they actually talk about it, you know that when the 3 races were divided, they each had a de facto leader. So, if they have a de facto leader for each tribe or faction, if you will, of the pony race in G5, would the leaders be unique in any way, or would they just be specific characters that have just somehow become the de facto leaders? Because what's interesting in that other clip that other picture we've seen of the two of Sunny and Izzy, obviously they're at the Pegasi Kingdom, I suppose you could call it, or Air City, or wherever it is that the Pegasi live. They're being flanked by 2 royal guards. Now, both the guards are wearing what looks to be very similar to what Celestia's guards wore, Canterlot guards wore. So, I'd be very interested to know what would the leadership look like. There's bound to be a new leadership in Equestria. And if so, does that leadership base itself off the old leadership? Does it know about the old leadership? Oh man, there's so much I can think about. I think the problem is when you sort of become entrenched in something, you basically know enough to talk about it, I suppose. No, it's likely be each race will have their own leaders, maybe kings or queens. Yeah, it's potential. Maybe they'll have kings or queens or lords and ladies or something like that. I'd also be interested to know if any of the former sort of Equestria special groups exist. For example, will the Wonderbolts still exist? And if the Wonderbolts do exist and they're part of the Pegasi Lands Kingdom, whatever it's going to be called, will they be modelling themselves after Rainbow Dash? Because I would assume that Rainbow Dash, giving her character, would have gone on to be a very important part of the Wonderbolts for the future. Because I know. Okay, actually no, I can't talk about that because Nosy still hasn't got round. Nosy still hasn't got round to watching the finale for MLP, so I can't talk about this next bit, I'm afraid. So the Berry State, it came out when I was 14, and I thought it would be annoying and cliche. But as the episodes went on, I respected it and I liked the characters more. Now it's a precious part of my life. Yeah, I get what you're coming on from there, the Berry. I completely understand that. When it first started, I mean, I didn't start. I don't know about Nosy. I'll be blunt. I don't know when Nosy started watching it exactly, but with myself, I started watching MLP just after season 3 finished, and the reason for that was largely because I kept coming across loads of references to it online, and I just decided to check out an episode on telly one day to see what it was like. I would have been... How would I have been when I first started watching MLP? Hang on. Two seconds, people. I need to check something here. Right. So the first season was 2010. So second season was 11, 12. So I started. So when I started watching My Little Pony, I would have been about 24 when I started watching it. Because obviously I basically started watching it just purely out of interest, and I think it just sort of grew on me. And the backstory, because there is a bit of a backstory with me as to how I got involved with MLP. I'll save that for a second because I want to address something Nosy said in regards to he's interested in the Gen 5 character, obviously first from MLP, how that will impact the cast. I think it'll be interesting because I think it'll mix things up to have a main male character. And I generally think we might well get to see a slightly different side to a main group of characters. We will probably get to see maybe Hitch Trailblazer acting as like a brother figure. I don't know if there'll be a romance figure because I don't think they'll really bother with romance in Gen 5. It was only very loosely touched upon in Gen 4. Good hot chocolate. Right, so Nosy started watching started watching MLP around 2013, so season 3 when it was airing. Yeah, as I mentioned, I would have been the same. I started watching it just after season 3 ended, so about the same. Now, I'll happily give you all a little bit of a backstory. Sneezes. Yeah, 10 years older than Berry. And hello, seniors. Yeah, I'm 32 in 5 days. 32. It's like bloody hell. I really starting to feel my age sometimes. But yeah. So how did I get into MLP? Well, actually, no. MLP, when I started watching MLP, I was home working. And basically, this is why I'm currently sat in this shed, because when I started home working, my dad converted this shed into an office. And after I finished home working, I just turned it into my computer room, really. So my computer's basically in here, and all my bloody DVDs are in here. But anyway, so when I started watching MLP, it really helped. Because since I was home working, I was at home on my own every day of the week. Sometimes I work 7 days a week sometimes. And the Friendship is Magic really helped me just get through the day. One of the things I would do a lot was I would listen to the Smile song a lot, because that really helped me. That was a song that, really got me through tough days, made me feel a lot better, generally helped. And then when Lunar Eclipsed came on, which was, I believe, episode 4, season 2, well, Luna makes her episode appearance. I basically absolutely loved it. Luna became my favourite character, and that episode became one of my favourite episodes that I watched on repeat all the time. It was a franchise that still does bring a smile to my face and can get me through days when I'm just not feeling myself. Nosy, what are you saying? Ha! Parents had enough of me to get some pieces shoved me in the shed. Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. There were a few nights, you know, back when I was like 23, 24, when I used to have long night bloody long night Skype chats with people. Yeah, so we definitely might well have been the reason they put me in the shed. Which version of the Smile song? The original version, Nosy. If you're on about the Dragon Ball related Smile song where Pinkie Pie basically turns into a Super Saiyan and destroys everything, yeah, not that is a great thing, but no, the original Smile song was definitely it was my rock. When I was home working, it was one of those things that really kept me going, and yeah, believe me, MLP was really my rock when I was home working. It was the one thing that kept me going, and it just kept me fixed. You know, it helped me a hell of a lot. Unfortunately, I'm not one of these people that's blessed with amazing art skills or amazing writing skills or amazing plushie creation skills. So I can't say it's really made me a creative person, but it's definitely helped me get by on the old mental side of things, because you know that's the thing we all suffer with. So I shall ask our viewers, do you have a favourite episode, a favourite song, a special reason why MLP is, you know, something you enjoy? That's nice. Thank you, LeBerry. Yeah, that is nice. That is the reason why MLP sort of means a lot to me, really. I do have a little bit of MLP merchandise in the shed. So we've got a little Scootaloo here, which I got from PonyCon 2 years ago. It's basically just a basic Scootaloo figure with a mane and tail redone, and it's all made out of clay. That's a nice little figure, that. Quite like that. And I've got a Chrysalis plush in here as well that Nosy got me for a Christmas or birthday present a few years ago. So that's got Chrysalis. And also, I'll show you all this. I really, really, really like this. I'll bring it up to the camera. That is a hand-carved sleeping Luna. Luna sleeping on a cloud. That is a hand-carved that. And I got that from PonyCon as well. So that's something I really like. It's a nice little thing to own. What we got here? Nosy says, I didn't think I'd like MLP at first. I remember when it was on TV, I would go to it and think, no, you know, not my kind of thing. Then one day I watched the episode where Spike's making a cake for Rarity and he keeps eating it. Yeah, yeah, that's a funny thing. He keeps eating the gems, isn't he? And then from there I got into it and the Equestria Girls as well. Yeah, I think in a lot of ways that's almost similar to how a lot of TV series happen. You might watch in one episode, not like it, go back, watch another episode, like that episode, and then pick it up from there. As for Equestria Girls, yeah, I do like Equestria Girls. Sunset Shimmer being my favourite Equestria Girls character. Actually, Nosy, thank you for mentioning Equestria Girls, because there was something I wanted to talk about in regards to Equestria Girls. I can't find this picture. I watched a video about 2 days ago on YouTube, and it was basically someone was talking about Gen 5, and they'd found a picture on Reddit of Sunset Shimmer, Equestria Girl Sunset Shimmer, in what looks like a very early, rough CGI design. Now, there's no way of knowing if this design is a Gen 5 for Equestria Girls, and it's all going to be CGI, or if this image was perhaps a fan creation. The YouTuber in question, she wasn't able to tell anybody about it, because she basically just said she found it on a random Reddit post, and she had no idea if it was an official bit of artwork or if it was fan related. But I really do hope we get more Equestria Girls, because I feel like it needs one more film to finish it all off. You know, we could just finalise the main main 7 of Equestria Girls finishing school and going off and doing all sorts of stuff. So I would like to see that series finish. I'm trying to think here. There's so much stuff. I mean, for example, we could easily talk about what, for example, Flurry Heart. So from what we know, Flurry Heart is a natural born alicorn. We know Twilight earned her wings. She earned the right to become an alicorn. We know Cadence also earned the right to become an alicorn. That's covered in, I can't remember what it's called, but there's a book that was written, and it's official canon, and it actually talks about how Cadence became an alicorn. Now, with Celestia and Luna, I always assumed they were born alicorns, but it's implied in the series that they weren't, that they earned it as well. And Flurry Heart is basically the first naturally born alicorn. No, I've heard rumours there may be another feature film for Equestria Girls, but I'm not sure if it's finished, just there's a whole YouTube series, but no idea if it ended. Yeah, same here, mate. I've heard the same rumours that there's supposed to be a final Equestria Girls film. You know, let's have a look here. Let's have a look at Equestria Girls details here. We've got any information available on them, any new things coming out or in development. No. At the moment, the last thing to come out for the Equestria Girls was the miniseries on YouTube. Obviously, there's books, annuals, soundtracks, all that, but there's no no information at all on the Equestria Girls' future. Yeah, possible that the 4th season may have delayed. A lot of things have been delayed at the moment, which is quite annoying, but what can you do? But yeah, I don't know much about Equestria Girls in general, what the plans are for that. Personally, I'm really hoping to see more. I mean, like I said, one more film would be nice to see it finish and see all the main 7 maybe graduating high school and going to like college, university, you know, whatever, them sort of moving on. Right. Let's see. Good. Zip over to Twitter and have a quick look, see if there's any interesting information on the official pony sites. Any new updates? Oh, there's something. Interesting. Looks like there's been some G1 Funko Pops that have been released. That's about it. Not much new. There's not a lot more information on G5 to be honest. There's not much more information I could find. I'm actually wondering what the music will be like in Gen 5, because if there's one thing about Gen 4 that always makes me go back, is the music and the songs, especially the songs. So I'm really hoping that the songs in Gen 5 are as good as Gen 4. They need to get that right. That's part of the reason Gen 4 I think was so good, because the songs were just brilliant. Nosy, best pony is Rainbow Dash. She's 20% cooler. She may be 20% cooler, but I'll always be a Luna fan. In order, Luna's my favourite, followed closely by Twilight, then Sunset Shimmer, Equestria Girl Sunset Shimmer. I'll probably say, Pony Sunset Shimmer, it's the same person, just different form. And then when it comes to fan fictions, original characters, there's 2. My favourite original character is Little Pip from Fallout Equestria. And my second favourite fan fiction character is Dawn Lightwing from the Savage Sky series. It's a really good series. And then Gen 5, Sunny, as I've mentioned. Sunny is my favourite character of Gen 5. I just like the design. Obviously, I don't know much about her outside of the design yet, but I just like the design, which is one of the things that I like. No, Fluttershy. Well, Fluttershy, I like Fluttershy, mate. I do like Fluttershy. I mean, Fluttershy's cute and huggable. And I would, if Fluttershy randomly appeared in this world, I would want to hug her, 100%. But I really want to give Sunny a hug. Hell, I want to give all the ponies a hug. Why not? They're all huggable. I bet they're. The ironic thing is, if you ever did meet one of the actual ponies, if they were actual life size, you know, we us humans would be about 3 times taller than they are. So we could probably just pick them up and hug them like a big dog. But yeah, I'd say the reason why Luna appeals to me as my favorite character is because she appeals to me in a way that she is the outsider. And back at school, I always felt like the outsider, especially at high school, because, you know, when you hit high school, you know, you're sort of looked at as being a geek or a nerd if you're, you know, if you like stuff like Star Wars or Star Trek, or, you know, if you're into stuff like that. And considering that my class at high school was like 99% guys, there was like 2 or 3 girls in the class, the rest was all guys. You know, you do sort of feel like an outsider when, you know, everybody else is talking about bloody football or something and you don't watch football. So in a lot of ways, Luna basically to me came across as being that character that's the outsider because she's different from everybody else. And that's why I really connected with Luna's character. But I do connect with Twilight's, largely on the level of her sort of being an outsider, but also being a massive bookworm, because I love reading. I've got a lot of books. I quite like, Nosy states, I quite like Izzy for Gen 5. She seems like a personality is cheeky and a little mischievous, or very curious. Yeah, as I said earlier, I'm pretty sure she's meant to be the Pinkie Pie of Gen 5. And then Sunny is potentially the Twilight of Gen 5, and Hitch is probably a combination of Applejack and Rainbow Dash, I'd say. So, yeah, I'd say they're definitely going to base their personalities off the main 6 to a certain degree. Also, apparently, there's rumours circulating that Sunny might have her own friendship journal. So again, taking after Twilight. So again, it is interesting to ask just how much influence the main 6 are going to have on the Gen 5 universe. So, Nosy, the Berry, and our mysterious third viewer. Is there anything any of you want to mention on the chat at all? Because, you know, any input would be great. Always happy to have some input. Hang on 2 seconds. What's this flashing up on the computer all about? What's it doing? Oh, you've updated that. Fantastic. No thanks. I don't need that. Not yet. That's it. So anyway, just updated itself there. Doing that. Anyway. So, as I said, do we have any questions, comments, or anything anybody else wants to talk about? I'm all good for that. If anybody wants to talk about anything else, it's not like I've got to be anywhere tomorrow morning. Yeah, I'm not back at work for like just over another month. I've got about 5 weeks, I think, till I'm back at work. Let's have a look. Yeah, I've got about 5.5 weeks till I'm back at work. Interesting. Nosy states it's interesting if there's only 3 main characters for Gen 5. There's actually 4, mate. There's 4 main characters, but they haven't revealed the 4th character yet. Although the 4th character is believed to be a Pegasus, which would make sense, since at the moment the 3 main characters are 2 Earth ponies and a unicorn, so it would make perfect sense that a Pegasus would be the 4th final member of the group. So yeah, there is meant to be 4 characters. And I reckon the Pegasus character will join them after they arrive at the Pegasus Kingdom, city, wherever it is the Pegasus live, I think that fourth character will join them. It's possible that with the, obviously, as we know, there's meant to be like a lot of mistrust among the pony tribes. So maybe each one is told to keep an eye on the other by their respective leaders. And then, you know, I get the feeling Sonny's going to be the character that tries to bring them all together. But then Izzy being the clear Pinkie Pie character, again, might do the same thing. There's so much we could go on. There's so much we can discuss that, you know, we just generally don't have enough information to form a solid theory. Oh, speaking of which, I'm curious as to what Gen 5 will bring to the table in future projects as well. I don't think there's any Gen 5 yet. Thank you very much to the Berry. Really appreciate that, my friend. Thank you for all the work you do on the channel, and can't wait to see you talk about Gen 5 more this year. Thank you very much. Appreciate that feedback, mate. We will be talking more about Gen 5. As soon as we have more information, we will be doing it. We'll be doing plenty of videos about Gen 5 as soon as we know more. No doubt we'll talk about the film as well. Once that's up on Netflix, we will be doing that. So a question to the Berry. Who's your favourite character out of the main 6? Do you have a favourite character? Very curious about that. Pop us a message up, mate, when you can. If you have a main character, let us know what your main character, your favourite character is. I'll be very curious to know that. I like the fact we've got a mysterious third member who's been very quiet. But I often very quiet on live streams myself. I don't normally men talk, but always good to have people. Cough, cough, Rainbow Dash, cough, cough. Yeah, I know, Nosy. I'm well aware that Rainbow Dash is your favourite. So the Berry, my favourite character is Fluttershy. I relate to her so much. Well, I can understand that. You know, Fluttershy as a character would represent anybody that's ever been shy or struggles with confidence or social anxiety. So yeah, I can understand that. I mean, Fluttershy is a character that resonates with a lot of people, and you know, Fluttershy is a great character. I do like Fluttershy. I mean, as a character, she's great. Flutters is awesome. Yeah, Nosy really likes Equestria Girls Fluttershy. On many occasions, Nosy has said to me, "I really want to give her a hug," because Nosy's the type of bloke who, you know, he just wants to. He just likes, you know, he's a protective. Wants to try, you know, protect the cute, innocent ladies. But yeah, he would want to give Fluttershy a hug. Who wouldn't want to give Fluttershy a hug? She's probably a very huggable pony. But yeah, I can understand the Berry, as you state, Fluttershy being that you relate to her. I can understand that. As I mentioned, I relate to Luna a lot because her being the outcast and struggling to sort of fit into society and fit in with everybody. I feel like that very much resonates with me, especially going back to high school. Very much resonates with me. And in a lot of ways, I think that is why MLP works so well, because the main 6 are characters that you can relate to. If you have something that you can relate to, in whether it be a book, a film, a game, a TV series, if you can relate to a character, that's fantastic work on the production people. They can create relatable characters. Nosy, here's another question. Your favourite secondary character from Friendship is Magic? Favourite secondary character? Oh. Oh, I know who my favourite secondary character is. It's Derpy. Derpy Hoobs. I really like Derpy. She's just she's a really lovable character, and I know you don't see much of her. However, she really came into her own in the 100th episode. But yeah, Derpy Hoobs is my favourite secondary character. And Nosy, who doesn't want to give Flutters a hug? Yeah, who doesn't want to give Fluttershy a hug? She's huggable. You know, you just want to hug her and tell her everything's all right. But yeah, Derpy Hoobs is my secondary favourite. Is my favourite secondary character, mate. I do like Derpy. Let's have a look. Do we have any other interesting information knocking about? Ooh. Yeah, I wonder. Have a look at Hasbro's official channel on Twitter. Is there any information on there that might have popped up recently? No, there's no new information really. I suppose there wouldn't be. It's they've released the minimum that they wanted to release, so fair enough. Nosy, Trixie is your favourite secondary character. Starlight sort of as well, and then Discord. So really three, but yeah. I think Discord, everybody likes Discord. I mean, obviously voiced by John Delancey, who plays Q, and obviously Discord basically is Q. But yeah, I think we've all got those secondary characters that we like for various different reasons. Let's have a look. Any other informations? No new information. Fortunately, there's not a lot else I can go on. So I have a question for the Berry. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing your name right there. The Berry. Have you read any MLP fan fiction? And if you have, do you have a favourite? I have at least I have 5 Pacific fan fictions that I really like. And Nosy, same question to you, mate. Do you have any fan fictions that you've read that you really like? Right. While people mule over that question, when it comes to fan fictions that I like, there are 5 specific fan fictions that I am a big fan of. Actually, no, 6. Sorry, 6 MLP fan fictions. So the first fan fiction that I actually read in full was a fan fiction called The Fall Necromancer, which unfortunately was never finished. It's about 34 chapters long and was never quite finished. It was probably a few chapters short of being finished. But The Full Necromancer is a really interesting story about an undead necromancer who basically gets zapped into Equestria one day, tears into an alicorn foal, a young colt, and gets adopted by Luna. And it's like all about his enemies following him to Equestria and how his magic affects Equestria. It's really quite interesting. My second favourite fan fiction is Past Sins, which tells a story of basically like a reincarnated Nightmare Moon, but being reincarnated into a child, and then Twilight adopts her. Question from Nosy. Not sure if you saw this on Equestria Daily. It was put up 4 days ago about a fan theory of Gen 5, basically saying Gen 5 is a TV show in their world due to merch figurines in the background. Yes, I am aware of that, mate. I'm aware of that fan theory. It's an interesting fan theory. I'll give it that. It's a very interesting theory. It would be very fourth wall breaking if we actually had that, you know, it was like a TV show in Gen 5 world, like Gen 4 was a TV show. It'd be really weird. I'd be interested to see exactly how that would impact Gen 5 in its own world. No, not read any fan fictions, to be honest. I want to read Fallout Equestria. Yes, Fallout Equestria is brilliant, mate. That's my third favourite fan fiction. After that, it's the Savage Sky series, which I really recommend. It's basically about Fluttershy adopting a colt, a foal that she finds in the Everfree Forest. And he's like a crazy martial arts pony with really bizarre Nightmare Moon style eyes, and he's being hunted by this crazy cult. It's a really good story. Savage Sky series, highly recommend it. Then one of my all-time favourite Equestria Girl fan fictions is called The Long Road to Friendship. It's basically about Sunset Shimmer trying to make friends. It's a really good story. The various states. I have read fanfics, but can't really remember any names. One I do remember was Prince Blaze Sparkle about Twilight and Flash's headcanon son, or a dragon she adopted as a son. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about there. It rings a bell. I think I've read that one, or at least I've read one. I definitely know I've read a fan fiction about a character by the name of Prince Blaze Sparkle. I know I've read that. It does sound familiar. I'm gonna Google that. Hang on a sec. Prince Blaze Sparkle. I'm fairly certain I've read that fanfic. Let's have a look. Look. Yeah, I have read that one. Yes, that one is familiar to me. I have read it. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I don't. When we talk about the Film Fiction website, it's sort of one of the reasons why MLP fanbase is quite unique, because no other fanbase, at least that I'm aware of, has a website dedicated purely to its fan fictions. So that is quite that is one thing about the fan base that's quite unique. I will be honest though, the one sort of problem with film fiction is it's oversaturated. There's so many incomplete stories, abandoned stories, completed stories. It really needs to have a proper management system on there, so you can look up, you know, finished, unfinished, cancelled, on hiatus, that type of thing. Because sometimes it's hard to find something interesting to read. I mean, no disrespect meant to any authors on that site. It's just not that easy to sort of find a specific genre on that site unless you know what you're looking for. But yeah, the story regarding Prince Blaze Sparkle, I have read that one. It was some time ago, but I do know which one you're talking about. So, next question to our viewers. It is good that they have their own fanfiction fight. Tweaking would be good. Yeah. I do, as I said, and very agree. A bit of tweaking on it would be good, just to make the searching on it a bit easier. Because half the fan fictions I've read on Equestria on film fiction, I've discovered through Equestria Daily, because Equestria Daily, like sort of like once a month, they do a fan fiction update where they talk about fan fictions. That's a good way to find good fan fictions. But if I was to recommend fan fictions, I would recommend, obviously, Fallout Equestria. That is brilliant. Past Sins, highly recommend that. The Savage Sky series, I recommend that. I also heavily recommend The Long Road to Friendship. Also, Tales of the Moon and Tales of the Sun. They're about Lunar and Celestia, respectively. So, quick next question for the viewers. Does anybody have, what is your favourite song from the franchise? What's your favourite Friendship is Magic song? Obviously, mine's a Smile song. It'll always be the Smile song. I love that song. So anybody else have a favourite? A favourite song? Favourite song, people? If anyone has one. No rush. Take your time. Because there are a lot of songs. But yeah, mine's always a Smile song. And there's several others as well. I'd also say every song that happens in Crusaders of the Lost Mark, every song in that is just brilliant. I class that episode as more of a musical than an actual pony episode. It's more of a musical episode. Hello, Silver Comet from Argentina. Hello. Well, we've just been talking about Gen 5, Gen 4, and basically pony-related subjects. Current question I've posed to everybody watching. Do you have a favourite MLP song from Gen 5? So that's the current question. Welcome, Silver Comet. Welcome, and glad you could join us for this MLP-inspired live stream. And we've talked quite a bit about Gen 5, mainly just theories about what we think the show will be about, what the plot will be about, and what little information we have. We've been elaborating on that information. But yeah, we've talked, just to catch Silver Comet up. We've talked about G5 characters, G5 plotline, Gen 4 characters, Gen 4 stories. We talked about discussed fan fictions. We discussed sort of fan base. You know, how we got into MLP. We've talked about a lot of things. Nosy, yeah. So, top 5 songs. Nosy is I'll Fly. No surprise, he's a big Rainbow Dash fan. There's the Smile song. Yeah, mine's always a Smile song. Flawless. Yeah, that's a really good song. Magic Inside. Yeah, Best Friend Until the End of Time. Yeah, good one. I really like the opening song for the third Equestria Girls film, Friendship Games. Yeah, I like that one. I like the opening songs for all of the Equestria Girls films. My personal favourite is Rainbow Rocks. That just has the best music and songs. But yeah, I would agree. I do like the Friendship Game opening song. My favourite though is Rainbow Rocks. Just the whole soundtrack for that film is fantastic. I very much do like that film. That film, it's the best one out of the Equestria Girls 4 films is Rainbow Rocks. A close second for me is Camp Everfree. but largely because I like the opening song for that. It has got some good songs in it, but my favourite is Rainbow Rocks. Agnes, I think Silver Comet states, I think it's more interesting to talk about what is not popular. Of course, I like the Rainbow Rock songs. No, it's always interesting to talk about what's not popular. I mean, that is a good point. I mean, the funny thing is about not popular from an MLP perspective is when Equestria Girls was first announced and launched, a lot of the fans weren't too sure about it because obviously they were being turned into humans. And a lot of people were very in the middle about it. I will admit right now that when Equestria Girls, when the first film came out, I basically avoided it for quite a while. It didn't really appeal to me. I only kind of watched it because I just thought, why not? It's on Netflix, so I watched it. And I will admit, I always found it to be sort of like just an extended episode of MLP, but everybody's a human. It's why I feel like Rainbow Rocks is the best one, because it really expands upon the Equestria Girls universe and became its own thing. Nosy, we would love to thank everyone while we are live for all their support recently on the channel. Thank you, every pony. Yeah, 100% agree with Nosy. Thank you to all of you who are not just watching now, but have subscribed to this channel. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all the views, all the feedback, all the comments. We are going to bring you a lot more information on G5 when it's released and other pony-related stuff. But thank you again for all the support. We do appreciate it. Silver Comet. The first Equestria Girl movie, Through the Mirror, was kind of the opposite of the Cafeteria song. Changed the opinion a lot of angry bronies. Yeah. I can understand that, actually. Yeah, the Cafeteria song. In a lot of ways, the Cafeteria song was the only reason why I even watched the first Equestria Girls film. I will admit that. I watched the Cafeteria song like on YouTube, really liked it, so I then watched the Equestria Girls film. And I'll be honest, Cafeteria song's the only song in that film I like. However, as I've mentioned, I love every song in Rainbow Rocks. Those songs are just brilliant. But yeah, I do agree with Silver Comet. Yeah. I only found it. So Silver Comet says, I only found this channel thanks to a deep search for any G5 uploads in the last week. It took me days to go through everything until I found and subscribed to here. Big thumbs up. Thank you for deep searching us. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's sort of... If we could just to sort of talk realist here, I mean, the problem with the YouTube algorithm is that if you're a really small channel, which Bronies UK is, you won't get picked up by the algorithm at all. There's plenty of, Brony channels out there talking about Generation 5, and lots of them, their videos have got like 6, 7, 8, 10,000 views, and have maybe 600, 700 subscribers, maybe more. So yeah, due to the algorithm, the way YouTube works, unfortunately, Bronies UK is a tiny channel that does not get a lot of traction. But thank you for subscribing, Silver Comet. We do appreciate every subscriber. And it's quite interesting to know you had to do a really in-depth search on YouTube to find us. If I may ask, Silver Comet, what do you like about the channel? What makes you like Bronies UK? Yeah, a lot of shadow. Yeah, there is a lot of shadow banning on YouTube. I do agree on that. Yeah, that is a problem. Good old VPNs, fake accounts. What would we do without them? I can testify personally. VPNs are absolutely so useful, especially on phones. They're very useful if you're searching on a phone. But yeah, I completely understand where Silver Comet's coming from on that regarding shadow banning. It's a problem. There are people I follow on YouTube who are very active, but I never get notifications anymore. I have to literally search for them to find recent videos. Silver Comet states, I specifically like the way the analysts of Hasbro Investor Stream was handled. Yeah, that was a good one. That was good. That was handled quite well. Very well indeed, I should say. I think that the video I did where I actually talked about that actually went quite well. I think it's the second highest rated video I think we have. You know, the funny thing is, in some cases, having a YouTube channel that focuses on one thing tends to get more traction. But the downside is you're up against other channels that have more traction than you do because they've been doing it for longer. Obviously, the bigger your channel gets, eventually, if you're big enough, you make money off YouTube and you can actually do it in your full time. You know, hell, in a lot of ways, I'd definitely earn a lot more in a month than I earn in a month in my current job, especially since I'm on furlough right now. But yeah, as I mentioned, we do fully appreciate all our subscribers and all the people that are in a chat with us this evening in the merry UK. We do appreciate that. So, a question to our viewers: do you have a least favorite MLP character? Now, I will say that my least favorite character for quite a while was Starlight Glimmer. I didn't really like her purely because I saw her as being a Twilight Sparkle replacement character. I felt like she was sort of stepping in to sort of replace Twilight for a while. She kind of did as well for quite a while. I did sort of grow to like her as her character developed more and she sort of became her own character. But for quite a while, I didn't really like her character because, as I say, I felt like she was really stepping in and kind of taking over as sort of the main unicorn character. Silver Comet states, to be honest, I still had a hard time to properly explore this channel from possible G5 to backwards, but I did watch everything from there. That's fine. That's fine. Honestly, watch what you want to watch. Honestly, it's fine with us. You know, I've got people I'm subscribed to, and I'm only aware of maybe the first videos they've done in the last, say, year. Because some people follow, they've done that many videos that it would take me weeks or even months to go back and watch them all. But, you know, it's fine. Absolutely fine, Silver Comet. Feel free to take your time on the videos. There's no one's rushing you. Watch them when you want to. And, you know, as I say, obviously, since we're a small channel, it's we tend not to upload that often. We only really upload when we've got stuff to talk about within the MLP fan base, really. Starlight Glimmer, the one from the season 5 opener created by was amazing. It was sad that Joss Harbour did to her. Yeah, I understand where Silver Comet's coming from there. Yeah, she, as I said, the reason I started hating her was because she basically became a Twilight Sparkle knockoff character. She did start out as an original, interesting character who, in a lot of ways, was sort of showing just what happens when certain things that have happened in the real world happen. Put it that way. We all know what she was based off in the episode she showed up in. We all know what she was based off. Yeah. Yeah, development was good in the end. Yeah, as I said, her development was good toward the end of her arc. And that was sort of the only reason why I started liking her character. But if I'm going to be honest about her character is still, for all intents and purposes, her character is a knockoff Twilight Sparkle. You know, she's purely there as Twilight's unofficial student. Silver Comet, the other writer helped a lot to fill the void in her character later. Yeah. Eventually, even Harbour learned how to make her interesting, but it took 4 seasons. Yeah, it did. It did take 4 seasons because obviously, after her, you know, redemption arc, she sort of became. She didn't really do much. She didn't add anything to the show. As you say, it took 4 years, and by the final season, she was finally cemented as her own character. if Albert, since we're talking about characters and things, if there is one specific character, I've always personally felt like that this character got got badly treated, especially near the finale. Spike. Now, I understand and appreciate that for a certain extent, Spike was very much the comedy relief character for quite a bit of the show. But his character has so much to give and had so much potential. And in the end, you never find out where the egg came from. You know, where did the egg come from that Twilight hatched? You never learn about Spike's parents. You know, you never learn anything about him. And it's a real shame. Because as a character, I think he had so much to give. But he's only ever alluded on in the odd episode as being an important character. I know there was a theory that he was potentially the seventh element of harmony. But again, that's a fan theory that I have actually discussed that in a video I did probably about 2 years ago. But yeah, I feel like Spike was a character that was not treated very well later on near the end, especially. The Berry, do you think Sunset is a knockoff of Twilight Sparkle? Oh, good question. No. The only reason I personally don't see her as a Twilight knockoff is because, yes, she was a Celestia's pupil before Twilight, but she's the opposite of Twilight. She didn't go down a certain path. She sort of became her own character very quickly. She had her own opinions, her own goal, her own agenda. And I've never seen her as a Twilight knockoff, largely because she's never fully gone down that route. She is and isn't the main character of Equestria Girl. It's sort of a bit of a two-sided answer, really. Berry, truly wish we learned about Spike's past. Yeah, me too, mate. Me too. I really, if there's one, there were two things that disappointed me about the final season of Friendship is Magic. One, we never learned anything about Spike, which really annoyed me. And two, the final Cutie Mark Crusaders episode didn't do anything special for them. It felt like they just learned a lesson they'd already learned. Silver Comet. My headcanon is that his egg came from the future. Interesting. Hence why it's impossible to find his parents. The one who is a copy of his Tempest Shadow of Sunset's personality in Starlight's backstory. So, Silver Comet, yeah, good point about Spike. Interesting theory coming from the future, though. I like that. That's an interesting theory. I like that. As for the one who is a copy of Tempest Shadow, Sunset's personality, Starlight's backstory. Yeah, actually, thinking about it, yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. Yeah, I can see exactly where you're coming from there. That does make sense. Never looked at it like that, actually. It's a good point, Silver Comic. I like that. That's a good point. I never actually looked at it like that. But yeah, fair point too. Yeah, I like that idea. Oh. Here's a question. Here's a question. I'm fully planning on doing an actual video on this subject at some point, but I'd like to hear people's feedback. So, Silver Comet, Berry, Nosy, everybody watching, here's a question for you all. Do you think Twilight Sparkle's entire life has been manipulated and controlled by Celestia? Is her whole life being planned by Celestia, or has any of her life and her own decisions been of her own control? Because I've always believed that she's actually basically a victim of manipulation, and that Celestia's basically controlled and manipulated her from a very young age. You know, like everything, even leading up to her becoming an Alicorn, and almost everything after that. Because if you sort of look at it, she's basically dumped as the head of Equestria Society, as the de facto leader by Celestia. You know, it's just a case of, I'm retiring, Twilight, you're the leader now. And I've always felt like Celestia. I know Celestia is sort of viewed within the story as being this shining motherly figure, and everybody loves her and respects her. And while she does come across as that, you know, also in a lot of ways she's manipulating Twilight and her friends to a certain degree. You know, like everything that happens in Twilight's life throughout all 9 seasons is almost controlled and dictated by Celestia. So, what anybody think that? I mean, anybody have any theories on that? Silver Comet. If Celestia truly has this future sight vision, yeah, I've heard that fan theory that she could see the future. That is a theory, yeah. In her dreams, as pseudo confirmed by Luna, then yes, Twilight's life was being fine-tuned and railroaded carefully. Just remember how furious Celestia was when Twilight went with Lesson 0. Yeah, that is a really good point, Silver Comet. Good point. I know there is a theory that Celestia has like the ability to see the future, so it is quite interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. That is a good point. And again, whether or not Celestia is a malevolent, malicious being is debatable. But if there's one thing that they should have done with Celestia's character in the final season, they should have had her turn into Daybreaker, because the fact that they teased Celestia's evil side in the episode where Starlight switches the cutie marks and they have that weird dream sequence, it would have been great to have seen an evil Celestia. That would have been the ultimate test for Twilight. But we never get that, and that was a real loss in my opinion. It was a real loss to the show to get to see Celestia's like evil side, her alter ego. It's a shame really that we never got to see that. But yeah, as Silver Comet says, the Celestia having like foresight, the ability to see into the future, it is something that's been discussed in the past by a lot of fans, because you do get the impression she is guiding Twilight and setting things up. You do get that impression. And also another question. Just throw that out there. Anybody have like favorite Brony musician on YouTube? Favorite Brony animator channel? You know, anything Brony related on YouTube that you all like? Because you know, I follow a lot of Brony musicians. Like Prince whatever is one of my all-time favorite Brony musicians. Absolutely love his music. Yeah, good point. So the Ashlands, the Ashlands from that could well have been from obviously the evil bad futures that we saw. Could have been Daybreaker. That's a good point. Again, never thought of that. That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. Good point. The Berry, I thought years ago, I think since she was raising her to be her own successor, but I'm starting to wonder, was Twilight and Celestia both manipulated by the elements of harmony? Oh, that is a good question. I like that. Are the elements of harmony manipulating? Because there are some fan fictions that discuss the idea of the elements of harmony being fully sentient and being able to control certain things. So that is a really good theory. I like that. Really good. What if Celestia and Twilight would be manipulated by the elements of harmony? That is a really good theory from the Berry. I like that. Good theory. Nosy, Celestia is the true villain of Finn. Ooh, interesting. Twilight looks up to her as she were like a big sister. If Twilight had to deal with Celestia due to her deeds, it would have crushed her physically and emotionally. Would have been interesting to see. Yeah, it would have been interesting to see. I understand why they never did it. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see. Quick question, actually, to the Berry. That's a really interesting theory you've said about the elements manipulating Celestia and Twilight. Do you mind at all if I do a video about that? Because it's a really interesting theory. I wouldn't mind to discuss it in a video at some point. If you don't mind, I would love to discuss that in a video. We know for sure, Silver Comet states, we know for sure that at least the element of magic has some level of sentience. Yeah, that is true, yeah. If not sapience. Because that was DX Machina of the first sequence of the movie, it chose Twilight. Yeah, again, a really good point to make from Silver Comet. If we can look at the element of magic as being probably far older than the other elements, perhaps the element of magic is in part responsible for some of the events. Silver Comet states, Awkward Marina is one of my favourite famous Brony musicians. Not heard of them. Let's have a quick. Let me just have a quick. Bring them up on YouTube for a sec. Let me have a look. I might well have actually listened to some of the music. Maybe I just don't remember. Let's have a look. Let's check them out. I don't think I've heard of them. No, they do not look familiar to me. Interesting. I'll have to have a look at them. There's another musician I can have a look at then. Not heard of them, but I'll check them out. Yeah, by all means, if you've got some further thoughts on the subject of the elements being, being manipulating various characters and manipulating things, go all out, my friend. Feel free to let us know what it is, because it's worth talking about. Try Awkward Marina's PMV through Sombra's door. Let's have a look. Interesting. Yeah, I'll check. I'll have a look at that. I'll load it up. I'll have a look at that later. I'll have to check that out. I do like the pony music videos. And my favourite, no surprise, is Lullaby for a Princess. I love that. That is one of my all-time favourite pony music videos. It's so sad, but it's such a beautifully animated musical video piece. It's brilliant, but it's such a sad story to that. But I love Lullaby to a Princess. It's really nice. Oh. Well, I wasn't expecting the stream to last this long. It's like nearly 2 hours in. My favourite Brony musicians are Prince Whatever. Yeah, really like him. Black Griffin. Yeah, really like Black Griffin. And Jice Rowe. Yeah, really like Jice Rowe. Yeah, I have got a lot of Jice Rowe's actual albums. Physically have them here. These are like several of his Jice Rowe's albums. I've got a lot of them. MLP album-wise as well, just to sort of show you all, I've got quite a few. That's Prince Whatever, one of his albums that I've got. Have I got any other Prince Whatever albums? I think that's the only one I've got. Oh, no, and I've got a few others here as well. So that's another Prince Whatever album as well. Oh, that's got that one as well. Yeah, so I've got a few Brony related musician albums, which I'm a big fan of. You can probably imagine. I'm dropping everything. Yeah. 2013, 2014 was one of the better years for Brony musicians. Yeah. I agree with Silver Comet there. If you actually look at sort of 2013 to sort of 2015, that's when some of the really good stuff was coming out of the Brony community. knows it's really sad that they're no longer about. They made a Lullaby for a Princess. Yeah, it is a shame that they are no longer about. Luckily, Lullaby for a Princess is saved. It's still on YouTube. Silver Comet, today the medium quality is much higher, but the offer is much more limited, both in quality and variety. Yeah, I know what you mean there. Nosy, my video I made got a lot of interest, mostly due to the many people who weren't talking about it at the time. Yeah, due a cartoonist, yeah. Yeah, it was a sad day. Silver Comet, you only have a few selected musicians doing pony music. Yeah, lyrics with hooves and direct references, not things that could be placed on a normie radio. Yeah, that's true. Interesting thing about that, there is actually an actual Brony radio station that I discovered a while ago. I can't remember what it's called, but because I haven't listened to it in ages, because they're not always on. They only ever seem to be like on air maybe twice a week. But there is an actual proper Bronies radio station where they play all the Brony music and talk about the series. But I can't quite remember what it's called. But yeah, it's. I mean, hopefully Gen 5 will reignite a lot of the great musicians of the Brony fan base. It's already reunited the artists. So hopefully we'll start to see some really good more music coming out and some more newer stuff coming out after the film's released. Because if this fan base needs anything, it does need fresh material to really kickstart everything again and get it all going again. Start producing the great stuff. Silver Comet, there are dozens of automatic radio stations because there are many thousands of old Pony Brony songs, but only a few that are curated by real people. Yeah, that is 100% true, mate. That is true. Most of the quote radio stations are just automatic. They're just playing things on a loop. As I say, I've only ever come across one like genuine radio station that had real people live talking about MLP stuff. It's possible that station's no longer around because it might only have been like a temporary thing. But yeah, I'm sort of hoping to see more change in the next sort of 18 months, 2 years with Gen 5 coming. I'm really hoping we get a resurgence. And also it'd be nice to see new blood. Like new Bronies, new people coming into the fan base and getting involved with it. And also, saying this now, because I've only ever been to one Brony convention, that was the UK PonyCon 2 years ago. Because of a certain global situation that we can't mention on YouTube because YouTube don't like people talking about it. Short version, as soon as we're back to normal, Bronies UK will be going to the UK PonyCon. We were supposed to be all going this year, but it got cancelled. So hopefully we'll be going next year. Yeah, Silver Comet. Yeah, you could say YouTube is a Brony radio station. If you're still playing songs manually after 20 or 30, the algorithm will recommend what you like. Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, most of the music I listen to on YouTube is either Brony related, or it's bands that I like, or it's other YouTube musicians. So yeah, my algorithm tends to pick up a lot of Brony stuff, along with other things, really. And then obviously, goes without saying, the Bronies UK algorithm, it's literally 90% Brony MLP related stuff, because it's basically all we search on this main channel of ours. So we keep it relevant to the channel. But yeah, it's a good point. It is a good point indeed. Yeah, as Silver Comet states, the infamous rabbit hole works in your favour if you have a niche fetish like pony songs. Yeah, the rarer something is, the easier it is to find. At least that's normally how it works on something like YouTube. But yeah, the algorithm, as you say, it can work in your favour. It can also bring up stuff that you've no interest in, which does happen from time to time. But yeah, using the algorithm is very useful. Oh, I'm quite impressed with the amount of with the conversation we're all having. I'm quite enjoying this conversation. We're almost 2 hours into this live stream, but we'll probably keep it going. Let's say another half an hour. We'll go another 30 minutes, and then we'll call it a night. And yeah, and then then no doubt we'll have other videos coming up at some point. But yeah, so I'll say another 30 minutes, and then we'll end this. We'll end the live stream. But yeah, so question. So nosy musicians aside. So the question is who is your favourite Brony YouTubers? Mine is RC Race Best, Saber Spark, and Wubcake. I'm a big fan of Dr. Wolf. Really like Dr. Wolf. I watch his videos a lot. You know what? I'll have to look at my mainstream on my main YouTube channel actually, because I can never remember all the names. I'm terrible at remembering names. So obviously we've got Dr. Wolf, as I just said. I'm a big fan of Dr. Wolf. Follow him a lot. I'm also a fan of, if I'm pronouncing this right, Let Up Tier 725. That is another Brony YouTube channel I watch a lot. They talk about basically the episodes. I've got anything else? There's quite a few on here. Also, I follow Flutter 525, another Brony Brony channel. Also, Derek Pony, another YouTube Brony channel I follow. And then I also follow the Equestria YouTube channel, which basically is just everything pony related, really. We will both be on scale next time, my good friend Nosy. We will sort something out so we can both be on split screen or something. We'll sort something out. The Berry, think maybe I'll make a Tumblr post expanding on my theory. Yeah, go ahead, mate. All theories are always great. You can make a long post there, and I think, or maybe not people can see them who have an account, and I can share my username when I'm done. Sorry, just hard to say. No, it's fine. Honestly, it's always worth throwing in something on Tumblr. I think I am on Tumblr. I don't really sort of browse Tumblr that much, but I am on Tumblr. So I'm always I always try to keep my eye out on there. I tend to use YouTube more than anything else. YouTube's sort of the biggest platform I use online. Always has been. It's just there's so much on YouTube. There's so much to find. It's the biggest platform I use. Next to DeviantArt, I like DeviantArt just for the rich amount of art on there. I mean, not just Brony artists, but artists from all sorts of genres. But yeah, YouTube's my main sort of digital outlet for all sorts of stuff. Yeah, well, where is the Berry? Feel free to get on that. Right, speaking. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Drop us a message on YouTube whenever you pop that up on Tumblr. We'll have a look. We'll probably talk about it on the channel, actually. Good idea. So, a little bit, so outside of MLP, what other franchises are you all into? I mean, aside from MLP, Transformers, big fan of Transformers. I'm also a massive anime fan. All the DVDs in here are all anime. Every single one. Apart from the ones on the bottom shelf here, these are all largely live action films. But all these two shelves are all anime. So yeah, I'm a big anime fan. So, you know, what else are we all into? Outside of MLP, you know, what other fan bases, films, TV series, books, you know, what else do we like? I always like to talk about stuff like that. Oh, Silver Comet anime. Silver Comet is a big fan of anime here, Digimon. Oh, respect my man. I am a big fan of Digimon myself. Absolutely love it. I'm almost caught up on the new series on Crunchyroll. I've got 2 episodes left, and then I've caught up on everything for the new Digimon series. Yeah, love Digimon. Nosy, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, obviously Power Rangers, Transformers, yeah, all the good stuff. I mean, if you grow up in the 90s, you're a fan of basically all of that, because that was what was on, and it was when television was good. Kids morning television in the 90s was epic. Nosy asked, what are your thoughts on Pony Life? To be rather honest with you, mate, I've only ever watched like 3 or 4 episodes of Pony Life. I could not get into it. Not my kind of thing. I really didn't like it. I've only watched about 3 or 4 episodes. So, that's the truth. Power Rangers Zordon block. Yeah. I grew up watching Power Rangers Silver Comet. Grew up watching that. Love Power Rangers. Yeah, Digimon is fantastic, Nosy. I do love Digimon. Fantastic series. Yeah. I've never been a huge Pokemon fan. Always been a Digimon fan for me. Then I'd probably say outside of Digimon, my second most favorite anime is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That's definitely my close second. Silver Comet says, I had the blessing of watching anime in Spanish. Your sorry adaptation dubs were atrocious with the songs. Yeah, some dubs aren't great, I'll give you that. I mean, they got a lot better than they used to be back in the day. If you ever watch like old school anime from like the late 80s, early 90s, it is awful. Usually the lip sync's terrible, the voice acting's terrible, the dub's terrible. Yeah, early stuff is awful. Yeah. Yeah, Nosy says he likes Pokemon, but he'd pick Digimon. Yeah, I'd pick Digimon out through Pokemon any day. I really prefer Digimon. I think it's actually better written than Pokemon is. Yeah, I think it's sort of the thing, really. If there's one thing I have noticed within the Brony community is a lot of Bronies are also big fans of anime. I think it's almost like the 2 and 2 go in line in a certain way. It's really bizarre. Silver Comet says it is all about professionalism and money, also the censorship standards. Yeah, that's true. Censorship can be absolutely irritating in the UK. Let's just say sometimes if you want to watch anime uncensored, you have to buy it from America or from Europe to actually get it uncensored. I mean, I'd say pretty much almost all the anime I own is uncensored anyway, because it's largely from Funimation directly, so it's the proper uncensored stuff. Silver Comet, I think it's necessary for any brony over 25 when film started to also be an anime fan, otherwise they will not watch it. Yeah, I do agree on that. As I say, I think there is a big connection between anime fans and bronies. I think if I wasn't an anime fan, probably wouldn't have got into MLP, because I'm so used to watching sort of things on that level that I guess it just sticks with me. I don't have that much in the way of live action stuff on DVD. It's largely just films that I'd watch at the cinema that I like. So it's largely like Marvel, Star Wars, horror, sci-fi stuff. But I'd say 90% of what I own is anime. I mean, do anybody think that Gen 5 will bring in new bronies? Do you think we'll have like a resurgence in the fan base? The Berry says Equestria Girls in Japanese is basically your usual magical girl show. Yeah, I agree on that. It is, yeah. I have watched a few Japanese clips of that, and yeah, it is very similar to sort of all your magical girl stuff like Sailor Moon. Silver Comet states, for the very young bronies, today's 20 to 25s, it is the other way around. MLP film was a standard of quality that only anime could satisfy. Yeah, that's actually, I quite like that. That's a good way of putting it. Silver Comet, I like that. Good way, good analogy. I do like that. Very good way of putting it. Yeah, it's I think in a lot of ways, when I would say that to a certain degree, anime is still one of the few entertainment mediums that is still good. You still get really good anime and really good manga. It doesn't deviate. It hasn't gone down a modernized route. You know, it hasn't become commercial with today's politics. It's still very much its own thing. Unfortunately, there are some countries which are trying to ban anime. But, you know, we'd be here all night if we talked about that. It's imagine. I mean, well, we've really talked about all sorts of things tonight, haven't we? We talked about Gen 5, Gen 4, anime, you know, everything. I mean, why not? It's always good to talk. It's just great. That's the one thing I'm missing at the moment, talking to people. Yeah, get back to work. I could finally start talking to people again. It's bloody good to have a bit of a human interaction. I mean, how is everybody doing at the moment? I hope you're all doing well. I know it hasn't been the best few months, but we're almost out of it, hopefully. Hopefully we can all go back to normal in the next few months. So speaking of anime then, let's if we're for the anime fans on the chat and watching, what was your very first anime that you watched? For me, the very first anime I watched was Gundam Wing, and it was basically it was Gundam Wing and Dragon Ball Z. They were the first two animes I watched. I would have been about 7 or 8 when I first started watching them. So, anybody, if you're an anime fan, what was your first anime you ever watched? Silver Comet states, the new generation of bronies, third generation, yeah, watching G5 from 2021-22 forwards will eventually get interested in the mythos and lore from G4 Friendship is Magic. Yeah, no doubt they will. And I can't help but wonder if that's why they've obviously going to have the Gen 4 characters showing up in some capacity in Gen 5, hence the Gen, the characters, figurines, and the posters. So yeah, good point, Silver Comet. It will definitely lead that generation towards the previous generation, which is normally how it all works anyway. Yeah, good point. Very good point. I will be honest, I have tried to watch some of the earlier seasons of MLP, and I really struggled to get into them. I just couldn't get into the earlier stuff like Gen 3, Gen 2. I just couldn't get into it. You know, I think I'm a little bit too stuck in the Gen 4 ways to really fully enjoy the older stuff. Anybody else watched any of the older stuff out of interest? Anybody watched Gen 3, Gen 2, Gen 1? I've watched a bit of Gen 3. But that's about as far as it goes with me. Silver Comet asks, this is why I think there will be little flashbacks or explicit comebacks in Gen 5. Yeah, it's better if it's a mystery for the newcomers. Yeah. So sort of keep the Gen 5 keep the Gen 4 story a bit of a mystery. Yeah, almost as if you're looking through it through a murky historical lens. But yeah, it'd be a good way to introduce the characters. I'm hoping that is something that happens, that Gen 5 does sort of use Gen 4 in a historical sense, so people can pick it up and learn about it, and then maybe go to it from there. Be a good way. Nosy states, it seems Hasbro want to try and capture the feel of Gen 4 and attract the fans from Friendship is Magic that are still around, but I'm sure it'll bring in a new generation too. Yeah, no doubt it will, mate. I mean, that's the purpose anyway of it, to bring in a new generation. I think as well, it might bring in fans who have sort of stepped away from the fan base. because I am aware. I mean, it happens. People step away from fan bases. It happens. But I am aware some people have stepped away from the Brony fan base in the last sort of 2 or 3 years. Whether or not that's personal reasons or just because they feel like the fan base isn't as good as it used to be. So hopefully Gen 5 will reawaken them. So Silver Comet states, I watched MLP Generation 1 when I was a kid. Really liked it. Something terrible for a boy. Not a fan of G2 and the atrocious G3 with the exception of Minty's Christmas special. Yeah, I mean, I've tried watching G3, just can't get into it. I really tried, but nah, not for me. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Nosey says, first anime I watched was Digimon Adventure 1 on Fox Kid. Then it was Dragon Ball Z, Gundam Wing, Cowboy Beatbox. Thanks to Toonami. Yeah, Toonami was the go-to for anime back in the 90s. It really was. Was the go-to for it. Really was. I also saw stuff like Beyblade, Pokemon, Sailor Moon, Card Captors. Yeah. Oh, Card Captors was just weird. God, Card Captors was bizarre. I watched that. I'll admit I've never actually seen Sailor Moon. I know a lot of people who are anime fans talk about Sailor Moon a lot, but I've never seen it. I should probably get around to watching it at some point. I don't own it, but I really should look at checking it out. Right, just a notification for you all. It's 9:10 now. 20 minutes, 9:30. We're gonna end the stream. So 20 minutes, and I'm gonna end it. But you know, it's been a great 2 hours. But so we've got another 20 minutes to keep chatting, and then we'll call it a night. Silver Comet asks, "Go for the reboot. It is better based on the manga instead of full filler." Yeah, right, interesting. Sailor Moon, right? Yeah, I heard about the reboot of Sailor Moon. I'll keep that in mind. Definitely be worth looking into. As I say, I've never watched Sailor Moon, so it's on my list. And the reboot is something I've been meaning to watch. So I will check that out. Definitely will. So I don't know. Out of interest, has anybody ever been to a pony or brony convention? I mean, I've been. Me and my friend Lawrence, who obviously isn't the brony, we went to PonyCon 2 years ago. It was a UK convention. We had a real good time. Unfortunately, we couldn't go last year or this year, obvious reasons. But yeah, it was good. So, is anyone else, on here on the chat? Have you been to a brony pony convention at all? No, he says Sailor Moon, the original series is iconic, but it isn't a full adaptation of the manga as the manga was still ongoing at the time. But yeah, the new one that's come out is based off the manga. Yeah, that's actually quite common for anime back in the 90s. A lot of anime in the 90s was largely filler. I mean, the original Full Metal Alchemist is like 90% filler, I believe. Like, it's the first sort of 15, 20 episodes follow the manga, then it just breaks off and does something completely different. So here's another question. Somebody else. So obviously MLP is MLP in general. It's very much a cultural phenomenon, if you will. It really has done a lot for people, created an amazing fan base. that's led on to people creating amazing things for the franchise that they love. Does anybody think that in the years to come, MLP, specifically Friendship is Magic, might well become in some way historically important? Whether or not that's to animation, TV, fan bases, do you think in the years to come, say 50 years from now, it might be seen as of cultural importance? It might hold some importance in history. You never know, it might do. It'd be nice if it did. Don't worry, Silver Comet. We've all muted ourselves accidentally now and then. Yeah, Silver Comet says Friendship is Magic was unique because of the sincerity factor. Yeah, I agree on that. It was quite unique in that way. It did a lot of stuff, told a lot of stories that most modern shows would never tell or touch upon. It really did hit. It didn't paint a glossy picture of, everybody's friends, everybody gets on. The main six had arguments. They didn't always get on. That's what real friendship is. So yeah, it did have a unique way of doing it. Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways, Gen 5 is going to have a lot to compete with. If it wants to compete with Gen 4, Gen 5 is really going to have a lot to compete with. But I'm sure they'll manage it. Silver Comet states, it was made by a fan of Generation 1. Yep, that's true. That's true. Who was also a great character and a well-builder creator, as you know, Lauren Faust. Lauren Faust was kind of terrible with actual writing and narrative. The interesting thing about Lauren Faust is that she created some really good stuff. Like, for example, Powerpuff Girls. She created that. And she does seem to have a habit of creating these things, setting everything up, doing like 2 or 3 seasons, and then sort of moving on to the next project. Yeah, her team, writers and story editors. Yeah, I'd definitely say the first sort of 3 seasons of MLP are the most unique because Lauren Faust is heavily involved, and obviously her writers and editors and storytellers, and they're all involved. Then sort of season 4 definitely connects well to see the first 3 seasons. I'm going to need to jog my memory here. There is one season of MLP that I am not a big fan of. I actually personally think it's the weakest season. I think it was season 6. Yeah, I think it was season 6. Season 6 was sort of my least favourite season of MLP. If I'm right, that's the season where the Changelings have their redemption arc. I feel like that's the weakest season. Nosy states, he thinks Friendship is Magic is very important in the world of animation. It will definitely be remembered from throughout and checked out from 2010. I mean, it did accomplish 9 seasons, which is very rare in animation. Yeah, I agree. In part because of the fan base. It was the Brony fan base that sort of allowed it to keep going. Silver Comet states, not starting from scratch with the setting of G5 is a consequence of the lack of quality, new ideas from the franchise. Hasbro was not convinced by any of the proposals for a new world. Interesting. I didn't know that. That's interesting. So obviously they played it safe, really, and then decided to carry on with what they'd already established. Yeah, but just time jump. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Oh, right. I didn't know. Oh, right. So Nosy states, Lauren Faust didn't create Powerpuff Girls. She worked on it as a character designer. I didn't know that. I actually thought she was the creator of it. Well, you learn something new every day. You really do. You learn quite a lot every day. Right. So the person who created Samurai Jack was the person who created Powerpuff Girls, right? I didn't actually know that. Another interesting bit of information. Right, just a heads up, guys. 10 minutes left. I'm gonna end the stream in 10 minutes. So Just let you all know. You could say Lauren Faust was best character. It is best there. Silver Moon states, you could say Lauren Faust's best character is the world of Equestria. Yeah, I agree on that. I think Equestria, MLP as a whole, the G4 is definitely Lauren Faust's greatest creation. And it'll probably live throughout the ages. It's responsible for so much. And also, if only other studios could understand that and understand why it's so good, they could actually start making really good stuff that people actually want to watch. Outside of the world of anime, as we've discussed. Silver Comet states there is a fear to making anything new or unproven to be successful. To be successful, yeah, 100% agree with you on that, Silver Comet. To be fair, that's also the reason why the music industry is creatively dead. There's a reason why for the last sort of 10, 15 years, everything has been X Factor produced, because most of the groups that come off the X Factor, as my dad states it, are just karaoke singers. They're just people that sing to a backing track. There's no real creativity. I 100% agree on that. There is a fear to create new and unproven stuff because people don't know if it'll be successful. There was indeed a time where studios would go ahead and create new stuff because they wanted to see if it could be successful. Nowadays, it's more to do with money over, shall we say, money over succession. Like, people are more interested in making money than trying to make something that will be successful because people enjoy it. Yeah, but I do agree with that, Silver Comet, 100%. Good, that is a good point to make. Yeah, originality is something that's kind of dying out in a lot of ways. Silver Comet says, an example of Brony songs being creative, awkward Marina's putting music video through Songbridge Door. Yeah, I will check that out later. I've got that. I've got that up on my YouTube right now. Yeah, I've got it up. So I will be checking that out later today. We'll be having a look at that for certain. Yeah, but I will be checking that out, definitely. That's a great thing, really. You're always discovering new things in the MLP fan base. There's so much you can find. And again, that's another example of something that came out sort of when the fandom was young. Interesting. Minor elements of an episode entertained it into an epic story. Very interesting. One quick second here. Just want to check. Is that the right one? Is that the Pacific music video that I need to watch? Because I've got it loaded up. I'm going to check it out shortly. Just let me know if that's the right one. Right, yeah, not the original, but it is a re-upload. Right, great. I will watch that tonight. So I'm always up for watching another pony music video. Do you like them? Fantastic. Right. Okie doke. So, that has been really good. Really good conversation. Really enjoyed it. Wow, almost 2.5 hours. So, I'm going to start wrapping this live stream up. So, is there anything anybody else wants to say at all? Because, 2.5 hours, quite a while. So, comment. Slipstorm made a cover of Auckland's original song. The PMV is new. Mixing many different ones. Right, okay, good to know. I say I'm going to check that out. I'll look at the original one as well, or the original song. We'll definitely have to listen to that. So we'll be basically ending the live stream in about 5 minutes. So anything else you want to talk about, just say so. Yeah, again, thank you to everyone that's been commenting and chatting to us, as Nosy said. It's been great. Thank you to everyone. Well, we will do another live stream, but me and Nosy, we're looking at basically getting some software sorted out to allow us to have 2 people live streaming at the same time. So Zoom or something like that. Once we've got that sorted, we'll be, hopefully next live stream will be me and Nosy together on separate screens, obviously. Oh, you never know. Maybe we'll be able to sort it and go around to his place or something. But, we'll do a live stream with me, with both of us on at some point. But yeah, just to say a big thank you to everyone that's tuned in, that's watched. Thank you to the nice, kind words from people who support the channel and to all the nice chats that we've had today. It's been great. My favourite version... All right, let's bring that one up. Yeah. And we'll check that one out as well. Yeah, 2014 was the best. It was basically the best era for it. Yeah, 2014 I think was the best year. There was a lot of the really good creativity side of it came out around 2014. Let's just look that up real quick. We'll bring that up. There we go. Yeah, there's the original. Found it. Brilliant, yeah. Got that. So we'll check that out. Right, okay, so I've got some stuff to check out later. Right, well, just to say then, thank you very much to everybody that's watched, everybody that's chatted away on the chat, commented, discussion. Thank you to your support. Thank you for tuning in tonight and joining us all this discussion about everything to do with MLP, Gen 5, Gen 4, the future, the past, the present. It has been really good. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you, every single person. And we'll be back with another live stream at some point and more Brony UK videos as always in the future. We will cover every bit of Gen 5 news when it gets released. And we're looking forward to speaking to you all in the next live stream that we do. So thank you, everybody. Have an awesome evening or morning or whatever time it is, wherever abouts you may be. Well, thanks very much. Have a great time and look after yourselves. All right. See you all then. Bye-bye.